When I was 8 years old, my older brother went missing without a trace. Years later, I went looking for something in the dark, and I'm still not sure what found me instead. Elliot was 13, just a normal day, and then he simply didn't come home. I was too young to understand. I sat in my room with my Legos, waiting for a knock on the door that would tell me everything was okay. That knock never came. They searched for weeks. Then the search parties went home. But I kept looking long walks after school, checking every place on a crumpled map I kept in my pocket. People don't just disappear. That's not how it works. Except it is, and Elliot never came back. The last thing he ever said to me was, "Later, Gator." I don't think you ever really move past something like that. I got obsessed with puzzles, with debate club, with anything that could give me the feeling of solving something. Not because I loved it, because I hated not knowing. Eventually, I started volunteering for search and rescue. If I couldn't find my own brother, maybe I could find someone else's. A couple of years ago, I signed up for a search that changed everything. The missing person was a 17-year-old urban explorer, last seen in an abandoned metro station on the edge of the city. Power had been partially restored to the tunnels for the search, and we were given filtration masks for the dust. I was assigned to a maintenance tunnel, narrow corridors meant for pipes that were never installed. My team of 4 moved slowly, calling out, sticking to our section, staying in radio contact. We reached a long corridor that split 3 ways. We split up to cover more ground. At the end of my hallway, I found a heavy black door, solid, almost like a bomb shelter door. I radioed it in. "Just stay within radio contact," the operator said. "Leave the door open." I stepped inside. The room was cramped, windowless, isolated, no vents, no wiring, nothing. And there was a corridor leading deeper into the dark. "Someone's got my back?" I asked. "Yeah, go ahead." I took a few steps forward. My flashlight couldn't reach the end of the tunnel. For a second, the darkness felt like it was pulling me in. I decided to turn back. That's when the door swung shut behind me. I grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. "I'm stuck," I radioed. The door closed. "Some of these hinges are rusted," the operator said. "Someone will get you out. Stay put." I waited 20 minutes. Nobody came. Then my flashlight started flickering, far too soon for the batteries to be dying. "I'm losing my light," I said. "They can't find your door," the operator replied. "Wait, you might be in a parallel corridor. Just follow the right-hand wall." I did. My flashlight died completely soon after. Total blackness, the kind where closing your eyes changes nothing. I kept one hand on the wall and moved slowly. In that kind of dark, your mind fills in gaps you don't want filled. At one point, I could have sworn I was touching wallpaper instead of concrete. I took my glove off just to check. I reached a fork the operator swore shouldn't exist. "Is the ceiling low there?" he asked, suddenly urgent. "Yes." "Oh man, this changes things." It turned out there were multiple identical rooms, none matching where I was supposed to be. I had wandered completely off the map. I found a narrow hole in the wall, barely wide enough for my body. "Push through," the operator said. 5 feet down, then either up or forward. Either way, you'll be out." I crawled in on my stomach, dragging myself forward. The tunnel tilted downward. There was no going back once I committed. I pushed forward anyway. The tunnel leveled out. No upward exit. I had no choice but to keep going, kicking myself along on my back when my hands lost traction. Then the tunnel opened, and I fell hard into a new room. "Forward, then left, then forward again," the operator promised. "You'll see light any minute." I followed his directions, jogging with one hand trailing the wall, feeling the small gaps meant for pipes every 10 feet or so. Then my hand dragged across a face. Open eyes, a nose, teeth, hair. I froze and reached out again, expecting warmth. There was nothing there, just concrete. But something small and metal had caught on my shoe, a tiny key, etched with a sunflower. I pocketed it and kept moving, careful not to lose my bearings. At the end of the hallway, there was supposed to be a door. There wasn't one, just a dead end. "There's nothing here," I shouted into the radio. "Calm down, it should be on your left." "There's nothing on my left, nothing anywhere, it's a dead end." I smacked the radio against my palm in frustration and heard something click into place. The battery cover, slightly loose, had snapped shut properly. I opened it to check. There were no batteries inside. None. I checked 3 times. "Hello," I asked. "Operator." Silence. I sat there trying to make sense of it. If there'd never been batteries, how had he been talking to me this whole time? I searched the floor for dropped batteries. Nothing. I decided to backtrack. I found the hole in the wall and crawled back in, expecting the upward slope I remembered. Instead, it tilted down, exactly like before. That made no sense. I'd been going down the whole way there. It couldn't lead down again. I pulled myself back out, disoriented, and started mapping the space in my head, one dead end at a time. I wandered for hours. The corridors kept shifting, different lengths, different turns, rooms that hadn't been there before. I made a pillow from my vest and tried to rest, saving what little water I had left. That first night in the dark, I found myself thinking about Elliot for the first time in years. Not just the fact of his disappearance, but him as a person. Had he been scared in his final moments? Had he been alone? Some part of me felt certain, for the first time, that he'd gone somewhere dark he could never come back from. The next day, or maybe just hours later, I couldn't tell anymore, I got up and tried the tunnel again. But the layout had changed completely. New rooms, different corridors. The same hallway, walked twice, took a different amount of time each pass. Like the space itself wasn't finished, like it was still being decided. Exhausted, I leaned against a wall, clicking the dead radio out of habit. Then a voice came through. "There's a way out, you know." I told myself it wasn't real, sensory deprivation. My brain firing signals into the silence to keep itself from breaking down. "So I'm just a random brain signal?" the voice asked. "I'd suppose so." "Interesting, then everything I say is something you're expressing. What do I sound like to you? Who am I?" It was a man's voice, middle-aged, an accent close to my own, deliberately uncomfortably close. "Don't do that," I whispered. "Don't say things like that." I kept wandering, kept talking to the voice, if only to keep my thoughts from curdling into something worse. It never claimed to be anything grand. It just offered suggestions. Left turns, right turns, small corrections. Eventually, out of pure exhaustion, I threw the radio across the room. It shattered against the far wall. The voice kept talking anyway, not from the radio. From somewhere inside me. "Are you done?" it asked. "Then let's get going." I followed its directions after that, half out of desperation. The air began to change, denser, warmer, strange-smelling. The concrete grew porous underfoot. "Why'd you lead me here?" I asked. "You tricked me." "You were already tricked," it said. "I've been trying to get you out. It keeps shifting things." "What is it?" "It wants you to find it. You're very close now, and trust me, you don't want that." I ignored the warning and kept moving toward the sound of voices ahead. Real voices, laughter, relief. I found a door, light spilling from underneath, people on the other side calling out that they'd found me. "The key," the operator's voice begged. "I left you the key. Please don't do this. This isn't the way out." My hand was already on the door handle. "Open your side," I said. No one did. Excuses piled up, hands full, door stuck, someone pretending not to hear. I stepped back, the light behind the door vanished, the voices disappeared, silence swallowed the hallway whole. "What do I do?" I whispered. "Go the other way," the voice said, "and don't stop for anything." I ran. Behind me, a door creaked open, and something wet slapped against the concrete, dragging itself forward. The walls turned warm, then soft, like wet sand, then like raw meat under my palm. The floor rolled and tilted beneath me like something breathing. I climbed when it pitched upward. I fell when it pitched down. And the entire time, something behind me was closing the distance, tired of the chase. I hit a wall covered in something slick and membranous. I cut through it with the scissors from my first aid kit. As it tore, the whole tunnel screamed, not with sound, but with a violent, convulsive shudder. At the end of the hall stood a final door, chained shut. "Get the key," the voice urged. "Get the key and go, it's coming. How is it moving so fast?" I slid the sunflower key into the lock. It turned, the chain dropped. I threw the door open, ran through, and turned back just once to pull it shut behind me. In that last second, I saw it. Milk-white skin, atrophied sunken eyes, a wide, wild mouth like something built to feed in total darkness. The door slammed, light bled in around me. The voice came through one final time, thin and fading like bad interference. "Just keep going," it said, "not far now." "What about you?" I asked. "Are you still in there?" A long pause. "It went the wrong way." "Is that really you?" I whispered. Another pause, then quiet and resigned. "Is what it is. Later, Gator." I followed the sound of machinery until I stumbled out onto a subway platform. Commuters found me wandering, disoriented, barely coherent. It took police hours to identify me. I'd been underground for almost 3 full days. They never found the black door, the corridor, or anything matching what I described. My clothes were coated in a thin chemical residue, a diluted mixture nearly identical to stomach acid. There were interviews, a small article in the local paper. Within a week, the novelty wore off, and I went back to work like nothing had happened. I still volunteer for search and rescue sometimes. More careful now. But something in me changed down there. I ask different questions these days, and I'm not sure I want the answers. I can't tell you exactly what I experienced in that dark, but I know I wasn't alone. And on the nights I try to convince myself it was nothing but a hallucination, I open the top drawer of my nightstand. That's where I keep a small key, etched with a sunflower left for me by someone in the dark.